Hello everyone, it's Ashwin Rao, and in today's video I'm going to be taking you through my boot collection as it stands of mid to late, let's call it September, maybe October, 2024. As you all know, and I'm sure many of you who follow this channel experience, boot collections tend to evolve with time, with what's hot out there in the market, as well as just personal preference as to what is of one collector or buyer or enthusiast's habits and interests and just preferences. This is the Clinch Engineer from Standard and Strange. Standard and Strange, US based purveyor of clothing, carries brass Tokyo wear, including Clinch boots. Most specifically, their engineers as well as their Jaegers, which are the service boondocker style boot. I would say that this is probably Clinch's most famous style here. This is in their Merriam overdyed horse butt leather in a mid-brown colorway. I've done a few videos on this. This is a boot I'm really looking forward to using extensively. And we are going to go up here now to start talking about the rest of the collection. We're going to start with Crew Nonpareil. This is a boot that I designed. This is the Ashway boot in a black Merriam horsehide. You'll see a lot of Merriam in my collection, but Merriam horsehide is a fantastic, supple yet firm leather with a nice temper, a nice handle, and tends to roll rather than form creases. Crew Nonpareil is based out of Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago. I gotta get that pronunciation right. And this is a cap-toe boot with a upswinging profile, similar but more rugged look to the Edward Green Galloway based on the leather and the construction here, and a design that I came up with that Crew executed to perfection. One of my favorite boots, just the way it's aging, everything is great. The next three boots right here, here, and here are my three boots from Peng, otherwise known as Flame Panda. This first boot here you see is his beautiful Chelsea boot. This is a whole cut Chelsea, meaning that there is no split seam down either side. The only seam is in the back of the shoe right here. And just a lovely, beautiful, elegant Chelsea boot that has some rugged DNA but also has the chops to be dressed up. So cool, soft, rounded, somewhat asymmetric last, but just a nice option in a double row flat welt construction. Next door is also a similar construction, but this is his service boot. This is a brogued cap toe service boot in a Shinky horsehide leather. Shinky has a more firm temper, tends to fade with wear. You can see this. Let me see if I can show you that fading. I guess you can kind of see it on the toe here. That even with wear, you can see the undercolor from the leather starting to peek through. So it's just something to consider is that Shinky horsehide leathers and horse butt leathers are thicker. They also tend to roll, but their rolls are a little different than the Merriam rolls. They have this kind of like almost, I don't know, fine micro creasing. I don't know if it's the right word is, but bottom line is it has a slightly different vibe. This here is a Horween leather makeup, Horween horse stripe leather, which is essentially their horse butt minus any shell cordovan. And this is the very first boot in my extensive boot collection, also from Peng. One of my favorite boots, now almost 4 years old. And this is just such a beautiful mock toe boot. In my mind, potentially the nicest mock toe ever made is made by Flame Panda. So if you're a mock toe enthusiast, look for Flame Panda. Although it takes years to get his boots now if you order from him new. He's had some health issues and I think probably some cognitive and mental stressors that are factoring into how fast he's getting boots out. I think the demand basically far outstripped his capacity to make boots. And so just factoring in that, you know, you have to understand that these are individual makers and not always easy to, get them to produce at a high quality if you want the high quantity, I should say, if you want the high quality. So now we're up to some interesting pairs here. This first one here is from renowned Indonesian bootmaker Midas Bootmaker. Midas is been on a bit of a hiatus because Emil has been redesigning some of his lasts. For those of you who do not know Midas, they tend to have a slightly dressier aesthetic, and they are the boot or rugged, more casual offspring of Winston Shoemaker. I think that Emil Putra, who is the lead founder, designer, creator there, is just trying to figure out how to differentiate his products from other makers in the Indonesian world by creating some new lasts, some new designs, and just kind of coming up with something that's a little bit more unique to his brand. And so I have the utmost faith. I have a number of Midas boots. This is the one on the top shelf. And then the next two here after Emil, who will soon be producing more shoes and boots under the Midas and Winston labels. I'm excited to see what comes up there. I have something on order that's a special order that I'm waiting to have a last redesign for, so hopefully that will be worth the wait. And now we have a renowned Chinese shoemaker, Quan shoemaker. This is the Quan George boot in a chocolate, almost black color, but this is a dark brown horsehide from Merriam. Now this leather almost has a temper and handle similar, that reminds me of the Shinky leathers. I believe this is a TPR leather, meaning it has a thermoplastic resin. I'm not sure how I feel about thermoplastic resins. You basically throw in a layer of plastic to make horsehide a little bit more shiny and shell-like. I'm not sure about that, but we're going to see how this bad boy ages. Beautiful boot, beautiful construction. Quan also goes by the branding HOMK boots. If you go online, you can find his website right there. HOMK is his official line, but Quan Shoemaker is more how he is known. A former spin-off of XBXS Boots Factory. This also is a Quan Shoemaker boot, reminiscent of a semi-dash style from White's, but in a more elegant, aggressive last that I like. It's one of the things I love about some of the newer makers is that they take more liberties in creating more anatomic curves and shapes to their last. So really something to consider. This is a bison leather, and we have our Dr. Souls. I got this used for a nice deal, and just a beautiful leather that makes for really smart makeup. Quan is definitely one of my top 3 or 4 shoemakers in the world, along with this maker. This is King's Boots, also based out of China. This is also a Merriam, I believe, TPR leather. And this is their side zip boot, one of my favorite boots. It's almost similar to a Western style roper boot. I know that Rolling Dub Trio has a style similar to this. But the thing I like about King's Boots is that they take some more innovative approaches. So for example, look at this arch support here that wraps from the bottom of the shoe where the waist is, which has a beautiful rounded waist. You don't see that often on boots. Beautiful heel and toe pads, my favorite. Vibram 2540, and then you see the Lulu toe plate. And then you see this unique stitching that's done by hand to create this unique waist. It takes a lot of effort. Rolling Dub Trio's Gleaners are similar, but they don't have some of that detailing and style. If you even look at the heel block here, you can see how curved and what kind of handwork has to go into creating that right there is really impressive. So that is row 1. If we go to row 2, we're going to go to probably the world's most famous new Chelsea boot. I would say probably the world's most famous Chelsea at this point is probably still R.M. Williams out of Australia. There's a number of other makers who do great jobs with Chelsea's more in the dress phase, but if you're looking at the modern boot scene, you're going to be going no farther than Benzene, which is now called Briselblack. This is on the Kujang last. They have a number of other newer lasts. This is a reversed oiled Latigo leather, which I really like. Gives both dressy vibes as well as rugged vibes. I think that from my standpoint, Benzene / Bristleback make the best Chelseas out there. After that, we're going to get Kiattoko Handmade and High Tom Lab. High Tom Lab is actually the individual who makes these boots for Kiattoko, who is the management team. But Kiattoko has a lot of these great ideas, including this vintage-inspired boot in a shinky shell cordovan. This is the nicest shinky that I've seen to date. It seems a little thicker, but yet it's supple and it doesn't crease like some of my other shinky. Just look at the details on this particular model. Really fantastic across the board detailing. Broguing. I would say that if you are to look into a new pair of boots and want to try something off the beaten path or a little bit new, you can get these boots within about 3 to 4 months right now, and Kiattoko Handmade, in my mind, is the brand to go into if you're interested. They're active on Stitch Down Discord, as well as obviously on Instagram, so give them a look. Now we got a more traditional boot from Edward Green. This is their Cranley, which is a hand-sewn apron, kind of their boot version of the Edward Green Dover, which is their most famous split-toe derby. This is a split-toe boot. You can see the split toe right there, and then this beautiful, absolutely stunning makeup in a traditional Ridgeway sole here with Goodyear welting construction. So this is a Goodyear welted boot, a classic country style boot. Style, beautifully done. Now we're going to go jump into Norway and Sweden. And Norway features one of the world's most exclusive and somewhat hard to pin down boot makers. His styles are now available through Iron Boots, but this is an original Ostmo boot. Ostmo is the company of Lars Jensen, who is a bootmaker who starts and does entire makeups all on his own in a small, rural, secluded location in rural Norway. So this is in a coral-colored rough-out that is from a tannery that no longer exists. And this is his, I think, 157th or 8th boot made in his illustrious career. He is now slowing down that production, and I think he also kind of got burnt out. Speaking of Iron Boots, who's now making his Type 1 boot and a few other styles I think are in the works, Iron Boots also does an amazing job out of China, so you can see China is really raising their game. This is the Pitman boot in a waxed leather, I believe this is a waxed bullhide leather, which was featured in a lot of their early makeups. Really aggressively styled boot that just has this really cool, almost 301 style last here. 301 being the Viberg 301 last, has a blocky toe profile, something to consider. This is their Devil Dog boot. This is more of your traditional cap toe boot. Now, they seem to have more popular styles now. The Chosen one, I believe, is the one that seems to be getting a lot of press. But I am a big fan of the Devil Dog because it's a little dressier. I believe the Chosen one has a slightly more rounded last. But I tend to use this boot with workwear. In my workwear, I work in more office-based setting. So dressing or semi-formal looks work well. We're going to hop over back to Indonesia and to Onderhoud Handmade. Onderhoud does an amazing job. Rizky Afnan is one of the world's best boot makers. This is a unglazed Horween shell cordovan, natural shell cordovan. So this is a kind of patina monster that I've been trying to age gracefully. And Onderhoud is really known for their construction here. This beautiful stitched work that he does on his stitch down. This almost diagonal style stitching is what Onderhoud is really known for. The biggest issue with Onderhoud is getting your sizing right. This is another pair of Onderhoud. I actually had to put an insole in this boot just to make it fit a little bit better. But this one, which is on the Vulture last, similar styling, similar stitching. This is a lace-to-toe monkey style boot in a Tochigi number 2 oiled vachetta leather, which is another favorite of mine. We're going to jump down to right about here and get into the next boot, which is Viberg. This is the 2040 service style boot. I prefer the 2040 to the 2030 last. It has almost more of a Munson style vibe to it. So Viberg, everybody knows about Viberg. I don't know if I have to spend too much time. This is a Merriam horsehide leather as well, almost like a shell-like leather from my experience here. Then we got a ton of shoes until we drop almost to the bottom here. This is actually a Midas makeup as well. Not a shoe, but a boot that I think is worth at least pulling out to take a look at, because it is Midas, who's a boot maker. This is their Leger Derby. And then we're going to get down to Fortis boots here. Fortis does an incredible job here as one of the more emerging boot makers coming out of Indonesia. I think they've really raised their game. They seem to be one of the more active makers. I've had some people tell me that the sizing can be challenging, and I have this boot, which I love. I will say that they have a more crowded toe box up front for the size that you request, so you may want to size up if you're going Fortis. This is their, I believe they call it their military 5-eyelet chukka boot, but this has a seamless heel. Most chukka boots have a seam down the backside of the heel. This is essentially 2 pieces of leather that form the entire upper. Just a tremendous look as far as boots are going. If we hop one over and pull another boot out here, this is my early pair from Custom Craft Bootmaker, one of the other amazing bootmakers, individual, doing all of the work. This is Dennis out of Germany making beautiful boots. His prices have gone up, way up, because of popularity. He's been featured on the Stitch Down Discord, kind of become known as one of the guys in terms of boot making. And then finally, I got 2 other boots. One of them is a shoe boot here from New River Boot, based out of the US. This is a chute, I guess, or a boot. This is a kind of Viberg 145 Oxford style boot on a wedge sole from New River Boot. One of my favorite stitch down makers, really kind of coming on strong on the scene in the past year and a half, making a lot of makeups with high quality leathers. This is a Horween natural horse stripe leather. And then finally, last but not least, of the boots, at least in my closet, I shouldn't say finally, I got a couple more, is this beautiful makeup from Prof Barnett's. This is their short monkey style boot, lace to toe model. Very aggressive with a cool lineman's patch over here. Really cool, well done patch. So just tremendous patina potential. Patina potential for this boot, just so you know. I'm saving it as a potential for my Stitch Down Thunder Brown entry. And then we got to get to right over here. We got a couple other makeups. One of them is this boot, also from Midas Bootmaker. This is their Spala Derby in a Sterschwin construction. One of the coolest welt stitches on a Indonesian tobacco floater leather. Really cool makeup on a 430 mini lug sole. Super cool makeup there. And then if we finalize up for these last 2 boots, this is likely going to be my Stitch Down Thunderdome boot. Sorry about the laces. They are hanging loose like an 80s haircut. But this is the Horween Waxed Flesh makeup of the Allen Stitch Down boot from Parkhurst, which I think is probably the world's best deal in high quality footwear. Stitch down construction, high quality leathers, beautiful last, kind of straddles between dressy and rugged. Tremendous deal. So if you're looking for a great deal, look no farther than them. Finally, last but not least, whoa, there goes one of my boots. Pulling the fumble there. Sorry, boot, you're down there, I'm up here. This is a 2 Monkeys boot out of Japan. 2 Monkeys Sportif. 2 Monkeys is founded by the owner of Gelato, which is a fairly well-regarded clothing store based in Tokyo, Japan, and one of the representatives for Red Wing Japan, long-term leader of Red Wing Japan, decided to go out and make this lineup of boots for 2 Monkeys brand, which is their brand, that also has clothing and other lines, but this is such a supple, cool leather, really cool construction, which is a combination of Goodyear welting along the front of the foot and then Blake stitch construction along the waist and heel. Got a XBXS minor boot, which is kind of the clone of the Viberg 310 last. Cool boot. I've been having it for 3 years now. Put it through everything, and that's downstairs in the basement along with a White's 350 cutter boot that was made up for free note cloth in a horsehide Toscanello leather. Also awesome boot. And I got a Rolling Dub Trio Chelsea, the stand boot as well, which I can't show because it's downstairs unless I run all the way downstairs. Those are great boots, but just FYI that they are not necessarily the boots that I have up here because I'm wearing them a lot. I'm kind of taking more liberties with them. And then I got a Briselblack engineer boot in their local pull-up leather, but it's a reversed pull-up waxed leather. Really cool makeup there. And then can't forget the other makeup I have from Limmer Boots, which is my hiking boot. Limmer does a great job with their boots, really designed for hiking out of the US. They're US based and made, although I think they have some makeups done overseas as well. Mine is a Limmer Lightweight, which I believe is one of their overseas models. Fantastic, rugged, handmade Norwegian stitch down boot that I just don't have to show you right now. So that's about it. I'm always looking for new recommendations. So if you have anything you see that you think I should try out, please reach out. I hope you're doing well. There's my clothing. Hope you're real excited about those things, but I'm guessing you're not. We'll talk soon, okay? Have a good one. Bye-bye.